Hello, everyone. So I am Fyruz Khan, and today I am back with a brand new class. Um, so uh, I was supposed to have this class yesterday, but then there was some, family emergency, so I had to cancel the class and shift it to today. But today's a good day, brand new day, and we're here with Business Studies Cambridge A2, Chapter 15. So we did the first half of the chapter. Which is business communication, right? We did the first half of the chapter, and we finished the first 20 slides. We did quite well, and today we're going to finish the chapter. If we look at the lesson objectives, in day one, we spoke about what is communication. We talked about why effective communication is necessary, right? We also talked about the different kinds of communication method: oral, okay, written communication, notice boards, IT, web-based, visual communication. So we talked about all those things. Today is day two, and today we're going to focus on these four things. The first thing that we're going to focus on is when you choose a media, when you choose a medium, what are the factors that you should keep in mind? It's not that okay, I want to choose oral communication, or I want to send an email, or I want to use WhatsApp message. It should not be like that. You have to understand the situation. You have to understand the urgency of the message, okay, and then of course go for it. We'll also talk about barriers and reducing to effective communication. So when you're communicating, there are barriers, there are problems that will happen. It will stop your message, right? How can you reduce them, and what are the different kinds of barriers? And then, of course, we're going to talk about the different kinds of formal communication networks. We have the chain network, we have the vertical network, the wheel network, the circle network, the integrated or connected network. And then the last but not the least, we'll talk about informal communication, right? For example, we can talk about work, let's say in a restaurant or in a bus, or we may have personal relationship. We may talk about it, let's say after class. So that's informal communication. So let's jump to slide 21. Um, right here, the slides look great. Let me switch to presentation mode. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, everything's fine. Yep. There we go. So just give me 1 minute. I have to remove, stop, share. Yeah. Now you have a full. Okay, there we go. The slides look great. So factors influencing choice of appropriate media. So whether you're going to write the message, or whether you're going to email the message, or whether you're going to, I don't know, write it on the notice board or send a WhatsApp message, it depends on a number of things. It should not just be, okay, I am comfortable with this and I'm going to use this. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to understand the situation. You have to understand what people uses the most. You have to understand how, the time limit. There's always a time limit. You have to understand what you're doing, right? So sometimes when you're communicating, written record is very important. You need to have evidence. So you don't want to have a meeting. Probably you want to email them. Sometimes you want to write, type it, and DHL it, or send it via post. That's also done. For example, a legal contract, yes, you can email a legal contract, but then you will always require the main genuine hard copy. Yes. So you need to send it via someone. Someone from your office can go and drop it. I can show you an example. Give me just 1 minute. Sorry for this. So I have a legal contract with someone, and my friend came and dropped this legal contract. He did not email me. He did not text me. He did not photocopy or and email it to me. So what he did was he came and he dropped it. You can also post it. So in terms of this is quite important. But then if I have to send you, let's say, a specification of a mobile phone, then I don't need to drop it, right? I can just email it. I can just, WhatsApp you, because that's not an important information. Okay. Hi, Arza. I hope you're enjoying the slides, the new slides that I'm making, and the class as well. So, yeah. Then sometimes you need to have two-way communication. So an email will not be the second point. An email is not going to be effective. So you need to meet that person. You need to think about cost, because when I post this this contract, or if I send it via DHL to America or to any country, uh, it'll cost me, right? But when you use electronic media like WhatsApp or email, it's going to be very cost effective. It's going to be cheap. So think about that. Now if you have to send emails to 100 people, then if you have to send a message to 100 people, I would say choose email. Okay, so think about that. Again, on the other hand, on the contrary, written memos are cheap, but then if it's not effective, if it's overlooked, then there's no point. Let's say you have to meet a person, but you don't want to meet a person because it takes a lot of time. It's not cost effective. You want to write, but then, you know, written record may not be effective. So think about it. It may be quicker, it may be cheaper, but then sometimes you need to meet that person. Okay, so yeah, there you go. Um, so that's the factors. Then speed. Now, if you want to DHL it, if you want to post it, it'll take a lot of time, right? So think about that. So speed, electronic means can be quick. Okay, if it's not a legal contract, if it's not an important message, then you can email it or send it through WhatsApp, Viber, or any other electronic medium. Okay, it also depends on quantity of data to be communicated. Now, if you have a lot of message to be sent, if you send it via post, it's going to be expensive. You cannot use to send a lot of messages through WhatsApp, but you can email them. Of course, you can email, you can attach everything on a zip folder and you can send it, right? So think about that. Sometimes, a quick telephone call can also solve the problem, right? Instead of sending the message and then waiting for the reply. So, you can just message him, can I talk to you for 2 minutes? And then if that person reply yes, or you can call them directly and tell them you're not going to take a lot of time. It's emergency, it's urgent, and just call them. Okay, for example, let's say I am doing a design for you and I'm confused whether you like the color green or not. I just need 1 second. Okay, I can send you a screenshot of that color, and then I can call you that I've sent you a screenshot. Can you check and see if you like this color? Because I'm going to use this in your design, right? Sometimes, let's say your business is in America, and the local supplies are in Bangladesh. So it's not possible to meet them all the time. It is not possible at all. So what you have to do is do a conference call or email or send messages. So frequent meetings may not be possible, even within cities, especially during the times of COVID-19, when you are not able to meet person face to face, right? So think about that. So these are the factors. These are some of the factors that you need to think about when you choose an appropriate media. It should not just come like, oh, I want to use this. You have to analyze that, is it the right medium that I'm going to choose? Does that person use it? Uh, do I need to send it urgently? Do I need an evidence? Do I need to, what kind of data I need to send him? Is it a lot or is it technical information? So you have to think about all of those things. If it's technical information, then meeting a hobena. Probably you need to email them, right? If it's a legal contract, you have to post it. So there are a lot of factors that you need to think about, right? Uh, Then barriers. So what are barriers? Let's have a look. So I've shown you this diagram in the last class, and I'm going to show it again. This has been taken from the book, right? So barriers. This is a barrier. Okay, you choose a medium. You choose a medium, and aim of communication. You choose an appropriate medium, and you send a message. And there may be barriers. Barriers means it stops your message from going to the receiver. Okay, and therefore you won't get any kind of feedback. You will not know whether this person has received the message or not, and ultimately it will slow down your process, because you send the message with a particular aim. For example, you want to know whether this person likes this green color or not, because you need to use this for their design, for a brochure design, let's say. So it's completely interrupting the process, right? It's delaying the process. So barriers are quite harmful. Barriers are quite interruptive. It will slow down your decision making process. Yes. Um, so barriers means that it prevents the message being received or correctly understood by the receiver. Okay, probably they will not receive the message, or they will receive the message, or and they will not understand the message. Okay, and this happens because of three reasons. The first reason is failure in one of the stages of communication process. We'll talk about that. Okay, it happens because of poor attitudes, and it happens because of physical reasons. Three reasons. Okay, and we'll have a look at all those. Failure in one of the stages. The first thing is that, let's say, you did not choose the right medium, and I've spoken about this. I've discussed about this even in the last class. Let's say um, let's say I use email all the time, and you send me a text message, and I don't check my text messages, right? And the medium is inappropriate. The medium is not correct. The medium is not right. So there is a failure. Okay. So as I told you, you have to analyze. আচ্ছা, এই মানুষটাকে যে আমি মেসেজ করছি বা একটা জিনিস পাঠাবো, কোনটা বেশি ইউজ করে, কোনটাতে আমি ফিডব্যাক তাড়াতাড়ি পাবো, right? Um, let's say if receiver forgot part of a long message given to them orally, then a written version. Let's say sometimes you've met them and you forgot to tell them, some important information, and then send them a written version quickly. Okay, so these are the barriers. It happens. Okay, or you can call them. I forgot to tell you this, this and this. So these are the things that I need to tell you. A misleading message. For example, I have an example here. Send the goods soon. What do you think about this message? Is this message appropriate? Is this message clear? Is the message right? No, absolutely not. It's very general. It's very vague. It's very broad. Yes, send the goods soon. What kind of goods? When? When do you want it? Tomorrow? Day after tomorrow? What date? So this is an incomplete message. This is a misleading message. So what I would suggest is send the mobile phones by tomorrow, dated so and so. So be clear with your message. Okay. And the fourth point is excessive use of technical language or jargon. Do you know what's a jargon or technical language? For example, it's understood by a specific group. Like, I'm an educator, right? So for me, a technical jargon would be pedagogy or pedagogies. Okay, pedagogy means the art of learning and teaching. But this term, pedagogy, may not be understood by you and the rest of the people, because only educators, those who studied education, will understand. Okay, so this is a technical jargon. Similarly, I may not understand chromosome. Chromosome is a scientific word, especially used in biology, especially used by doctors, right? So if you write chromosomes, I may not understand it. So it is a jargon, right? If you write words like let's say mitochondria, again, it's taken from biology. Everyone may not understand it. People who studied biology for the further education will understand. So avoid technical jargon. I told you, when you're communicating, your message needs to be simple. Okay, I have seen many people writing really fancy English when they're emailing to someone. Of course, if you're emailing it to a director, if you're emailing to a principal of a school, if you're emailing to let's say the head of a bank, then it's a different thing. But most of the time, 80-90% of the time, especially in Bangladesh, you will use simple English, simple language that is understood by a lot of people. অনেক জন বলে আমি খুব simple English use করি. And I take it as a compliment because I want my message to be understood by everyone. Do not use an accent. Okay, tone down your language. So these are the things that can be barrier to effective communication. Now, if I'm teaching English, let's say to people who are new to English, right? I cannot use an accent. I have to be careful. I have to lower down the tone. I cannot use difficult words. If I use difficult words, there'll be a barrier to the to communication. If there's too much of information, like, sometimes I know you guys are motivated to include a lot, but then it may become messy. The main aim of the message may not be understood by the receiver, right? So there'll be an information overload. There'll be a noise, right? So don't do that. Sometimes এটা হয় একটা ইমেলের থেকে আমরা 5টা ইমেল পাঠাই because we think that if we send too many emails, probably they will understand our message better or they will reply to us quickly. No, absolutely no. Don't do that. Okay? Send just one email or 2 emails maximum if you do any mistakes, or if you've forgotten to include something. Sometimes it happens that you've forgotten to attach a document, or you've forgotten to mention something, but not more than that. Okay, because it will create a noise. There'll be an information overload, too many messages, and do not write too many things. Okay, focus. Try to understand what is more important to you. What do you need to communicate? What do you need to tell people? Okay, so think about that. And then if the channel of communication is too long, এগুলা বলে লাভ নাই, I'll show you a figure. There we go. This is called a tall structure. If the channel of communication is too long, this is an organizational chart for FES. And if the channel is too long, now let's say the finance team, Nabila Mahmood is a financial manager. She wants to send a message to, let's say, Farhan Azim, who's a staff member. There's so many steps involved, right? To send the message, and the message may get lost in between. If the channel of communication is too long, this is an organization structure where the channels are so long, right? So for a message to travel, it'll take a lot of time. The message may get lost. The message may get distorted in between. So there are a lot of possibilities. There are a lot of things that may happen. But in case of a wide structure, this is a wide structure. See, the channel is short. So here, the message will travel more quickly. But see here, if you compare, so many steps and layers, right? And just look at this, so simple. So if the channel is too long, then probably, communication will be slow. The messages may be lost. Messages may be distorted. I hope you've understood whatever I've taught you. If you have any question, you can write down in the comment section. I can see everything here. You can also write it in the group if you want. We can also have a personal phone call chat after the class. Okay. I hope you can see me. I hope you can see the slides. I hope my voice is clear, right? My voice is a bit broken today. But yeah. So we've talked about the first barrier, which is failure in one of the stages of communication process. These are the stages. So failure in one of the stages will create a barrier. If your aim is not correct, if you don't choose an appropriate medium, if the message is not written in a simple way, if the receiver does not understand the message, or if you haven't received a feedback. Okay, so there we go. The second is poor attitude. Sometimes the sender is not trusted. Okay, if the sender is not trusted, then the receiver may be unwilling to listen. Let's say if the sender is not a good person or is not an important person, then the receiver will not take it seriously. For example, if you're writing an email to the head of bank, it should not the email should not come from a junior staff. It should come from a high member, someone who's at a higher position. Now, if a junior member of the staff sends an email from your company to the head of a bank, the email will not be taken seriously, right? Think about that. They will be unwilling to listen. They will not take you seriously, right? Um, Unmotivated workforce will be poor receivers. They will not, demotivated workforce will not receive the message, or they will receive the message, or they will not reply to the message. Okay, workers with little interest. It's interconnected. Workers will, little interest will not take the trouble to make sure that the communication is effective. No, they will not do that. They will receive the message. They will just sit down. They will reply you after 2 days. So because they have less interest, and you know, intermediaries. Let's say you want to send a message to the head of the bank. Now, his personal assistant has received the message. They may not forward the message at all. Okay, so think about it, or they may change it. Okay, so yeah, and the sender, you may not write in a effective way. You have to write in a clear way so that the message is understood clearly. Okay, so this is the second point: poor attitudes of either the sender and the receiver. Okay, then comes physical reasons. Okay, let's say you're talking to someone in a noisy factory, in a busy factory, and that person may not hear you clearly. You cannot have a meeting in a noisy place. So think about that. Give me a minute, please. So noisy factories are not the best environment for communication, right? So and then sometimes there may be geographical distance. uh, the offices are really far to each other, so then it'll be difficult to communicate effectively. But technology has advanced so much that you know we have you can make a phone call, WhatsApp, have a Zoom meeting, Skype meeting, Google Meet. There are plenty of options available, right? So uh, nowadays, distance does not matter at all, because the communication is so good, right? Say I'm taking classes using Facebook. So these are the three reasons of barriers to effective communication: failure in one of the stages, communication; poor attitudes of either the sender and the receiver; and physical reasons. Okay. If you have any questions, you can put it down here. Uh, right. Let's go ahead. Now, when you have barriers, how can you reduce the barriers? How can you minimize the barriers? Okay, if you have problems in sending a message, because if there are problems, you need to find solution. Otherwise, you will not be able to make decisions in your business. You will not be able to expand your business. You will not be able to do business with anyone. So ensure, the first thing, ensure the message is short, simple, clear, precise. If you have to detail, make sure it's detailed in the right way. Okay, use simple language, simple, good English language or Bangla. That's our. But you have to understand now. If I don't understand Bangla, do not send me. email in Bangla or text messages in Bangla. Okay? So you have to be very, very careful about it. Okay, so do some to someone, analyze. Keep the communication channel as short as possible. Do not send a message using 4 people and then it'll be received by the receiver. Don't do that. Okay, keep it short. The more shorter it is, the better it is. Now, if I send an email directly to the founder of another company, that's better. I'm sending it directly. There are no intermediaries. It'll travel more quickly. I can, check on whether this person has received the message or not. Okay. Um, Build in feedback process. Okay. Send messages quickly. Check messages quickly. Okay. Establish trust between senders and receivers. Culture. Okay. Ensure that if you're doing a meeting, let's say face to face, or if you're making a phone call or a Zoom call, make sure there are no noises, around you. Make sure that if you're in a factory and if you end up doing a Zoom call, then it may be less effective. Okay, so these are the ways in which you can reduce communication barriers. You will have barriers we've talked about: physical barriers, poor attitudes of senders and receivers, problem in one of the stages of communication process. But these are the ways you can find solution to all your problems. Okay, great. Let me just check if we have any messages so far. No, we don't have any messages, which is great. If you have any kind of confusions, please write it down here. I will check and take it. Right. Let's go ahead. Now let's talk about formal communication network. Now, what does formal communication network mean? Now, when you're within an organization, there is a structure, right? There's a structure like this or like this. It depends on the institution. It depends on the kind of organization it is. It depends on the culture. It depends on a lot of things. But there is a formal communication process, and therefore it'll have a structure, something like this or like this, right? Okay. Now, the question is, informal communication, there are a number of different ways, and again, it depends on the kind of organization it is, and we'll have a look at different organization. The first one is called the chain network. I hope it's clear. So it's like a chain. See, it's like a tall straight line: A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E. Okay, there is no feedback. There is no two-way communication, right? Employees here at the bottom, right here, will be a bit demotivated, will be a bit, detached, because there's no two-way communication process. It's just a one-way, right? So think about that. So this is the chain network, okay? The chain network. So there you go. And you may say, okay, then if it's not good, or if the employees get demotivated at the bottom, why do we use it? Because we use it because it is appropriate for the police, for the army, for civil service, where they don't need two-way communication, where it's leaders are more authoritarian, means autocratic. Have you heard about autocratic leadership? Yes, we've done in AS. Autocratic means no two-way communication. Only command is passed. And we know that in police, in army, in civil service, if you're working for the government, the command will come from your top management, right? For example, let's say if you're talking about, let's say, um, let's say the army. Let's talk about the army, right? Let's say there's an emergency situation in the army. Let's say something has happened in the army. I mean, in the country, and the army is taking care of it. I'm just saying. Now, the lower level staff here, the lower level army officers here, will not take the decision because they don't have the right skills to make the decision. because national security is under threat, right? It is a question of national security. So people here are more experienced. They have been here for 15, 20, 25, 30 years. They have traveled abroad. They have different kind of tradings all over the world, and they're better equipped to take those decisions. And therefore, the chain network is more appropriate for police and the army. Okay, right? So they will depend on their high rank officers, right? So that's the chain network. So the first one is a chain network, which is quite simple, right? Let's go ahead. Then you have the vertical network. Now, this is very common when you work in teams. Okay, let's assume that this can be a manager, and the manager has four subordinates, four employees who works under him or her, right? Um, Span of control, span of narrow span of control, not too many people working. So this can happen in a team, a group work, teamwork. So you can use this vertical network. Okay, one person taking care of 4 or 5 people. It can be within a department, it can be within in a certain team, a teamwork. It can happen within a department of a company, right? Okay, so the vertical network it's quite good. Okay, where you work with teams and you communicate with everyone, with each member. You can send feedbacks to your boss here. Okay, that's the vertical network. And then comes the wheel network. It's interesting. So the manager is here in the middle. If you see the previous slide, the manager was at the top and then he controlled. But here, the manager is in the middle. And this, manager can speak to each other, can speak to all the employees, and you can send information to the manager, and the manager can send it to other employees. But the problem is you cannot directly contact, let's say D cannot contact C cannot contact B cannot contact E. No, not possible. Okay, you can only do communication with the help of a manager who is here. Let's say if you have to send a message to E, at first you have to send a message to A. A is the regional manager, let's say, and then the regional manager will take your message to E, right? So this is more appropriate for a branch, for site managers, right? Branch managers, site managers. Okay, so the wheel network. There we go. Next, very interesting, formal communication networks, the circle network. It's like a circle, right? Uh, D can communicate with E, and D can communicate with E can communicate with D, E can communicate with A. They all can communicate with two people, and it's like a circle. Okay, it's decentralized. Uh, but the problem is, again, you cannot contact with everyone. That's the problem. Okay, yes, you can contact with two people beside you, right? But you cannot contact with everyone, and sometimes it's slow. If you have to send a message to B, you have to send it to A. A will send a message to B, and then B will send a message to C. So it's slow. So this is called the circle network. And then, if you have to explain or get feedback, it can be difficult, right? So this is a circle network. Okay. So yeah. Then comes the integrated or connected network, and I will say this is the best way. See, everybody is connected with each other. This allows two-way communication. You can communicate with each other. Okay, you can ask questions, they can clarify. Everybody is connected, everybody works together, right? It allows two-way communication with any group members. It is typical in team meetings. When you have team meetings, let's say eight of them can sit down and talk to each other, right? It involves more people. It's more participative, right? Decision making can happen together. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So this is known as the integrated or connected network. Okay, and I feel This is a good way. But then again, it depends on the company, it depends on the organization, it depends on the culture. There is no hard and fast rule of what you have to follow. You can choose this or this or this or this, whichever suits the best. Okay, right. Now the question is one-way communication or two-way communication. Okay, one-way communication means you can send a message, but then you cannot receive feedback. I've sent a message that says, send me the goods tomorrow, but I have not received any feedback. So I really don't know whether this person has understood or not. Messageটাকে আসলে পেয়েছে নাকি না, বুঝেছি নাকি না, I really don't know. So one-way communication may be confusing. There is no assurance that the sender has received the message or understood the message. But two-way communication allowed this to happen. Okay, you can question, you can do phone calls, team meetings, right? It's motivating because you're talking to people, you're receiving feedback, which brings me to the next slide. Okay, if you want to motivate people, you can choose effective communication. And when you use effective communication, it automatically motivates. So it's interconnected. A well-motivated staff will always respond positively to messages. They will have good messages, simple messages, clear messages, accurate information. They will respond quickly. And when you do effective communication, you will be motivated. You will feel involved with your job. You will receive constant feedback, right? So there you go. Okay? Because sometimes what happens, if you go here, sometimes what happens, these people at the bottom, they may feel lonely if communication is not present. They may feel that they're away from everything. They may feel aloof. They may feel lonely, right? So that is a big problem. So in order to motivate people, include everyone in communication, right? So yeah, great, we are doing well. And then comes horizontal communication. Horizontal communication means you have a channel, you have a structure, and you communicate with each other, right? Even in this case, horizontal communication means finance team will be able to contact with the technical team. And it's important because there are different departments. It's correct, there are different departments. Finance is a different department. Technical team is a different department. HR team is a different department. Administration team is also a different department. But they're working under one roof. They're working under one business. So they need to be interconnected. So the finance team must be able to communicate with the technical team. Technical team must be able to transfer messages to the HR team. The HR team should be able to transfer the message to the administration team, right? Just like this. That is called horizontal communication, horizontal, sideways, right? And this will lead to better coordination of different departments because you cannot work without coordinating all different departments. For example, let's say I have designed a marketing campaign, and that marketing campaign may cost, there's no marketing team here, but let's say there's a marketing team and I have developed a marketing campaign for 2 crores. So I need to contact the finance team that, do you have the budget to support a marketing campaign for 2 crores? Okay, finance team will check. Finance team will also contact the HR team because, we need people, we need labor force. Yes, the HR team will also contact the administration team to see if everything is in place or not, right? So, yeah, there you go. So that is horizontal communication. And horizontal communication is good because you're talking to each other, okay? They have different responsibility, but you're working under one business. And there may be times when you need to contact with each other, coordinating different kind of activities. Okay. But some problems can be, different departments may have different culture. Okay, this department may have a different way of doing things. This department may do things differently. Okay, again, HR team may follow a different process, so that can be a problem, right? And the objectives of different departments are always different. And then what do you do? Okay, so there we go. So the marketing team may feel that advertising at this point of time is necessary, but finance team has a different set of values. Finance team may have a different set of culture. And then what do you do? Okay, and then we come to informal communication. Informal communication means communicating outside the work. There is no formal process like this. You have different diagrams and networks and structures. No, you just communicate informally. And we do that all the time. Yes, we do that all the time. Yes, unofficial channels of communication between informal groups. Okay, so yeah, just I can send you a WhatsApp message after work. I can call you. I can sit down at a restaurant and talk to you, right? I can call you after work. So that's an informal communication. And informal communication also happens in companies. Okay, it has become more widespread, especially because of technology. You go home, you have a mobile phone, you may need to contact the manager, you may need to contact your subordinates, so you give them a call. So what is that? That is informal communication. The বাসা থেকে call দিচ্ছ, outside of your work hours, outside of your work premises, and you're doing it in your personal time. So that is informal communication. Uh, you know the you know the good thing about informal communication is that it creates you feel that you're a part of the company. You create bonds, you create friendship, because the world is all about acceptance. The world is about social structure, right? Okay. Yeah, there you go. You can clarify sometimes, at office, you may not have understood something. You can come back home, call them, send them a message, right? So these are the good things, but the bad things are it wastes valuable time. You spend 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours at work. Again, you have to come back and you see your managers, your workers, your employees are calling you. So it wastes valuable time. Sometimes you do informal communication to do nothing but gossip about each other employees. Yeah, there we go. And communication employees may also lead to groups. Oh, আমরা এই গ্রুপে, because you've created this bond and you feel that you belong to a clan, and that's not right. So yeah, we have finished the chapter. It was a lot. It was not a long chapter, but we've done a lot. So today we have, if I just, okay, give me just 1 minute. I have to share my screen again, because once I come out of the presentation mode, it just stops sharing screen automatically. Okay, so if we go to lesson objectives, we've talked about the factors, including the choice of media. We've talked about barriers. What are the barriers in communication? And then how can you reduce them? We've talked about the different communication structure in a workplace. Chain network, chain, vertical, okay, vertical, people under them, the wheel network, just like this, the circle network, and then integrated, connected network. And then we've also talked about horizontal, different departments communicating with each other, and then informal communication. Great, we've finished the chapter. It has been a great lesson so far. Yeah, I'm making changes to my slides, as you can see. I'm making it more engaging, more fun. If you have any recommendations, if you have any advices, any comments, please let us know. Follow our Facebook page, Fyruz Education Services. We post live classes every day. You can also add me on my personal Facebook page. I also post all the live videos on my page as well. Fyruz Khan. We also have a YouTube page, YouTube channel, Fyruz Education Services, and we upload all our videos there. So do not forget to subscribe us. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.